morning to you, YouTube, Facebook, and everybody else out there. It's your buttery voiced host, El Heftismo, and I am graciously joined today by my good friend Sam and the man himself. You've seen him a couple times on this channel, Ben Scrivens, owner and all-around great guy of Fright-Rags.com. They've got the kick-ass horror swag that you didn't know existed and didn't know you couldn't live without. Ben, thank you for joining us. Sam, thank you for joining us. Real quick, congratulations. I know we talked about this a little bit, but you and Fright-Rags have been in business 20 solid years. That is absolutely phenomenal. Congratulations first and foremost to you and your team. It's got to have been a crazy, wild ride.
Yeah.
Do you want to? Yeah, absolutely, man. Do you want to go? If you had to sum up the past 20 years, not in a word, because that's pretty cliched, but in your own words, how has the past 20 years been for you and your team?
It's interesting because, it's been incredible. First and foremost, it's just been an amazing ride. When I started Fright-Rags, it was literally just maybe I could sell a few T-shirts. I remember because it was September 2023, so it's literally been exactly 20 years. Later that year, so it was like maybe November, December, I met with my sister's accountant because she's like, you should probably see somebody, you have this little business and I'm selling some T-shirts. I want to make sure I'm on the up and up. And obviously I wasn't making like hardly any money at the time, but you want to make sure you're doing the right thing. So he's like, hey, he's going over some stuff. He's like, well, when you start, profiting off this business, we're going to have to start doing this. I'm like, what do you mean like profit? Like, you mean like making money? Like, like it wasn't almost even in my head. It wasn't about how much money I could make. It was just like, I want to sell shirts. The profit part wasn't really on the top of my mind at the time. So, it took a long time to get to that point where, I was making actual reoccurring income and I could quit my job and that type of thing. But anyway, so it's been this interesting ride where I'm always in the middle of what's happening right now. And it's sometimes when you do take a moment to look back, just like anybody in their life, you get to a point in your life and you look back and you go, wow, how did I get here? And there are days where I'm like typing out an email to somebody or getting on a phone call with somebody. And I'm like, how is this happening in my life right now? Like, it really does. I step outside of myself sometimes and go, wait a minute, I'm about to talk to that person, or we're about to do official merchandise for that. And I don't ever take it for granted, but because you're in the thick of it a lot, you don't sometimes. There's moments where you're doing your business. You have to get it done. So you're not thinking of that part of it sometimes because look, it's still work. It's a lot of work, and there's a lot of logistical things to put in place. So sometimes you're just in it. Like, yeah, we got to we're working on this new Halloween film. We got to get the images from the studio. Like, let's go. We got to get this stuff out. Like, come on, we have to do this because we have to meet our own internal deadlines. Blah blah blah. But then you stop and go, wait a minute. Did I just send shirts to Jamie Lee Curtis?
Well, that actually real quick brings up a comment from earlier. Jevin said, I wonder if Ben saw the Stone Sour video of Ace of Spades, where one of the guitarists
they're
Fright-Rags DPK shirt.
We're friends with those guys. We it's funny because Kimmy, our office manager, is
a fantastic person. I love Kimmy so
number
much.
One,
she's
fantastic person. She's absolutely great, and she's been friends with Corey Taylor and their band, and even like Shinedown and stuff, and we've gotten to know them and stuff and go see them in concert. So I love that he's rocking our stuff. It's great.
I've seen a lot of other famous people too. Like I've seen Corey with a bunch of Fright-Rags on. You got pretty much, I think everybody in the comments right now is rocking Fright-Rags shirts.
Awesome.
Killer Killian, we got the Jordy Verrill shirt.
Oh yeah.
Sam and I obviously, are huge proponents of your guys' stuff. I'm sorry I didn't mean to cut you off, but please continue.
No, not at all. I was just saying how, it's interesting to look back and to think 20 years. This is legitimately the longest job I've ever had in my life. So it's like, it's almost like you don't know any different now and you just want to keep it going. And I think I'm always looking ahead. I'm always trying to see what the future might bring. But when you do stop, especially for something like 20 years, and stop and look back and go, holy shit, like how'd I get here? I don't even know. But it does make me stop and go, I'm so thankful and grateful that I am here and that we are able to do this. There are days that I'll be honest, there are days it's super like hard and stressful and you don't know. I mean, look, I didn't go to school for business, and I've been learning everything over the last 20 years, and I'll never stop learning. So I'm always constantly a student of what we're doing. I never think I have it down pat, but it's just wild to think. Like, to me, I think I'm certifiably unemployable at this point. Like, I feel like I have no real world skills, but then I go, wait a minute, I have been running this thing for 20 years, so maybe there is some transferable stuff there, but let's just keep it going.
No, absolutely. And yeah, I agree. The quality has improved dramatically on your stuff. Comfy shirts. And you guys have sprawled out from just shirts. Even if you look at the past 5 years, you guys have gotten into, like sleepy pants, hats,
bar
glasses, shameless plug there.
Yep.
So yeah, it's fantastic that you guys have been around so long and keep fresh ideas, which is not, probably after 20 years, not exactly easy to do.
Yeah, it is and it isn't. It isn't in some way, because now we have some more, resources. Obviously I have a team of people that help me out greatly and that work with me and that have great ideas. I mean, honestly, a lot of ideas come from our team, which is awesome. And we know a lot more in terms of how to get things done. Like maybe 10 years ago, like that hat you're wearing, Hefty, like I would have known about how to do a hat, but that is a custom hat. That's not just a hat we bought and had embroidery put on.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's the stitching on it is phenomenal. I'm sorry. This is my favorite hat. It's got the sweet little zombie under the brim. I'm like, what?
So my buddy Steve, who was a customer of ours, I mean, he designed these things for a living, and he ended up starting to work with us freelance a couple of years ago. And so now he kind of heads up the hat division. And again, that's knowledge that I really didn't have, and I'm starting to grow now with what he knows. But at the same time, he's the expert in that, But I'll tell you, it's fun because, like you just talked about the sleepy pants, the lounge pants. My wife had bought me some lounge pants years ago from Kohl's, and they were like the most comfortable pants. They were called like liquid cotton or something, right? And I wore them like every day, and I was like, what if we could do horror ones, And I'm like, So I contacted the factory and sent them a sample, and they were like, yeah, we can do this. And they sent us back samples with our designs. And I was like, okay, let's do it. But then the logistical part of that is having to get the rights to it, because we might have the rights to say Dawn of the Dead, right? But we might only have t-shirts. We might not have t-shirts and hats and lounge pants. You have to then figure out what properties you can work with that will allow you to add that category. Sometimes that costs more money. Sometimes, there's a lot of other factors. So, we did original ones first. We did the horror ones with the little logo, and people really loved those. So then we started branching out. But just like anything, lunchboxes was like, a friend of mine does those. He has a factory that does those. I'm like, yeah, let's do those. So it's been really cool to work with people and just kind of like, honestly, you think of something and you're like, I really want, a Linda figure from Halloween. Like, let's make it. And they're allowing us to do it. We have people that we work with that can do that. Boom. You know what I mean? Now
Let's get it done. Yeah. And actually, it's funny you mentioned the lunch boxes. I got a couple back there. I got like a Fallout one. I got a GoBots one. It was like my first lunchbox in like 84 or whatever.
Yeah.
That is on my to buy list on Fright-Rags. So
nice.
Gotta pick up some of those soon because I love lunch boxes. But yeah, it's fantastic. You guys, the quality of your stuff, absolutely. And even back when you had the chopping mall, and stuff like that. I have one shirt from Chopping Mall because unfortunately that was a short-lived thing, but it was great.
Yeah. I was going to say that you're right. That was short-lived, but that's come back in a little bit of a different way that we've done with our new rewards system. So we've kind of worked in a way to, because the Chopping Mall, as is all stuff that was made to order, and that was a different situation than what we do. But now the technology's gotten so much better that we found a way to blend it together and offer that to a certain select number of people.
Speaking of which, would you like to explain the rewards program to some people that maybe aren't aware of it?
Sure. So it's something that I had thought about for a while, but to be honest, people had asked about it, and for a long time I was resistant to any type of rewards loyalty program because I felt fatigued and burned out by those things. And so I didn't want to just add something to add something. A lot, there's a lot of trends and things like subscription boxes for a while. People are like, you should do subscription boxes. I'm like, well, I don't want to do it just to do it. I want to do it to have it make sense and be fun. So I was resistant to rewards for a while because I just didn't have a way in my mind that would make it interesting enough, as opposed to just some punch card, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But I did survey a select number of customers, and people really responded to the fact that they wanted some sort of rewards and some sort of thing. So I'm like, all right, how do we make this work? So in conjunction with that, our printers, our wonderful printers down the street from us, Tiny Fish.
I was going to say Tiny Fish. Yes, I remember.
Great. This was about a year ago. I went over to the shop. I mean, I go there once in a while. We check out the stuff. I mean, Tony, who runs the shop, is a good friend of mine. We get breakfast all the time. We're hanging out. So I was over there. I was on my way somewhere else, but I had some time to kill. So I hung out with them. And Tony's like, let me show you DTG. And I was like, DTG means direct to garment. That's what
the
terminology is. And that's basically like, think of a big inkjet printer for t-shirts. Okay. That was what Chopping Mall was about. And I don't mean to digress. I just wanted to.
No. I'm all about digressing. Okay. Please go at it.
Basically, up until now, the technology just hasn't been on par with screen printing. It's fine for certain things. It's just not anything I would promote on my own. Now with Chopping Mall, we did it a little bit differently. It was just, we made it seem like it was vintage. So you kind of like, you knew what you're getting. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, there's no way we're putting like a Justin Osborne design on DTG or anything like that. Like, Sam, what you're wearing right there, Justin Osborne did. There's no way I'd be like, oh yeah, let's do DTG with that. I'd be like, it's not going to happen. So we walk into their hut where they're doing DTG, and I look over and they're printing our Justin Osborne Pumpkinhead shirt.
Like, that's a sick shirt too. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like the way Justin Osborne does, it's very painterly. There's mist around things. It tapers off real nicely. Yeah. And I'm watching this thing print in front of me, and I go, you've got to be out of your mind right now. Like that. It is like going from DVD to 4K, like making that jump, like literally even probably over Blu-ray. It is like, I was like, wait a minute, what the hell is going on here? So anyway, they had printed me a couple sample shirts to the point where their separator, who is one of the best in the business, like literally helped create, color simulation separations. He was going back and forth between two of the shirts they tested, and he's like, I'm gonna go get the screen printed one. We'll compare. So we're looking at them back and forth, and there was a difference, but it still didn't seem much. And then Tony goes, wait a minute, that one you brought in was also DTG. So they were both DTG, just had this slightly different pre-treatment.
Oh, that's crazy.
So I was like, okay, fine. The print looks great. Let me take it home and beat the shit out of it, basically.
Yeah. Again, quality assurance.
Exactly. So I took a handful of shirts home. This is a year ago. And I have been putting them in my wash cycle almost every single time. I haven't been wearing them. I just keep throwing them in. I leave them right side out. I don't even turn them inside out. I'm like, nope, back in the washer. And then I put them in the dryer, which you're not supposed to do. Dry it, wash it, dry it, wash it. Like, I'm like, keep doing it. I don't even care. It goes back in. And I'm looking at trying to see it, and it's fine. Like, normal screen print shirts will break up a little bit. These start to like show little bits of breakup, but it's not flaky. It's breaking up like a screen print it would. It's different, but it's the same. And these are showing no more worse wear than a screen printed shirt that's being, hammered to death in the washer and the dryer. So at that point I said, okay, I need to figure this out, because this is clearly something we can now offer. Now it is more expensive, and it doesn't, with screen printing, the cost per piece goes down the more you do. So screen printing still is incredibly viable for what we do. I don't want to get rid of it, but what can we do with this DTG? Going back to the rewards program, I said, okay, we want to be able to offer all these other designs. And when we make decisions about, like, for instance, this month, next month, we want to put out Halloween shirts. Well, do you put out reprints or do you put out new ones? Some people want us to bring back reprints because they missed it the first time, or they grew out of their other size, or they, whatever it is, or they ruined their shirt. That happens a ton. Some people just want new stuff, but there's no crystal ball to tell us what's going to do well.
Right.
So and we've got literally over 1,000 designs that are just sitting on hard drives, like backed up, obviously, but like, what are we going to do with these? Right. We can't bring everything back all the time. So with the rewards program, I said, what if we get we have like 4 tiers. Obviously, there's things like decreased shipping and like early announcements and even free shipping and all that for like the higher tiers. But what if tier 2 and 3 and 4 have access to a secret part on our site that offers 12 designs every month that you can get printed to order? And then, you know, the next month we offer 12 different ones and so on and so forth.
So kind of similar to the graveyard a little bit.
Exactly. It is the graveyard.
I missed the graveyard. There was a couple of ones that I got off the graveyard that I was so happy about. One of them was the Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things one. And I was so sure that would never come back. I even remember writing an email. This was back before Kimmy was there.
Yeah.
And I got basically back a letter saying, no, you're not the only one. A lot of people did. And then sure as hell, you know, the next month or whatever it was there. And I'm like, bye.
Yeah. And this is the way we can do that. But the thing is, the old graveyard way was we are having to print these. Now we would do pre-orders, but again, if you only sell a certain amount and then we have to make a certain amount, then we have excess stock and that might not sell.
That's the mystery tea comes in.
Well, yeah. So in this case, with the graveyard, if we sell 200 of one design or we sell one of one design, it doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. And that is actually great because then we can kind of see, like, I'll be honest, we just started Graveyard on September 1st. The rewards program launched in August, but the Graveyard started on September 1st. And we launched 12 designs, and I was amazed at what kind of, like, we released a really old Fright-Rags, Fright Night design that Zorno did, and it was.
Was it the one where he's pointing?
No. That was the Jerry Dandridge design. No, this this was like that old ad style, almost looked like a TV guide ad. Where
okay.
Peter Vincent one, and that actually did so far. I mean, we're about halfway through the month now, but so far that's like done the best. And again, I would have not have predicted that. You know, if I had to sit here and go, we're bringing these 12 designs back, we got to decide what to print. I'd be like, well, that one might do okay, but it's old. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's a great piece of work. Don't get me wrong, but you know, styles change, things change. Maybe that won't hit now like it did 15 years ago. And yet that sold the best so far of what we've put out. And
that's
I'm like,
fantastic.
So it's kind of interesting for me just to sit back and go, oh, that's cool. Like that one still got legs, or this one, oh, wow, I thought that was going to sell pretty good and it didn't, you know?
Yeah, there's still surprises after all these years. I want to publicly shame my brother real quick. I didn't even know this exists. Been a bit since I bought anything from you guys. I am ashamed.
We have a section on our site that says rewards, so you can look at it and see what you can do to get to that point.
So. No, don't make him feel better, Ben. This is all on him. That's very kind of you. You're a good dude. Sam, you've been pretty quiet. You got anything you want to say, buddy?
I haven't been able to really poke in. I was totally content to let this happen. I guess, let's see. I mean, I love the idea of the rewards thing because I remember it must have been 10 years ago at this point. I waited a very, very long time for the Chud shirt to pop back up in the graveyard. And it was like, yes, when it finally came through. There was another one. I don't remember. I think it was maybe like the Howling or something. It was like almost missed it. Oh shit, it's back. Better jump on it. I had a question and it vanished. Oh shit. In terms of it's been 20 years. Do you remember your very, very first t-shirt design? And then after that, what was the first one to really take off and get traction?
Yeah, so the first one so I'm a graphic designer. That's what I went to school for. And when I came up with trying to I wanted just to do something creative. That was sort of the impetus of Fright-Rags. I was just trying to do something interesting and creative. I didn't know what that was going to be. So I just started coming up with like horror type designs because I was on all these horror forums and stuff like that. So anyway, I had just taken this image of to be completely honest, I probably downloaded an image on Google that was the Jason. There was a hockey match from part 6 specifically. So it just had the one triangle. I'm trying to remember where I got the image from. It was probably something on Google that I saw. And then I used that and I started working with it in Photoshop and I wanted to make it just stark white on black. And I was, messing around with it. And it basically just kind of looked cool. It just looked like just a stark image of a white hockey mask. There's no frills. But then around that exact same time, I had been thinking of again, I don't even know if I was thinking shirts at that time, to be honest. I was just kind of playing with things. And I don't remember exactly how it came up, but because of the "What Would Jesus Do" thing that was really big at the time, I just said WW, and then I put the hockey mask there, D, and the question mark, and I'm like, that's funny to me. Like, that spoke to me as a horror fan and my sense of humor, and I thought that is like, to me in my mind, it was like low hanging fruit. I'm like, this has been done 3,000 times, right? So I start Googling it, and I'm searching and searching and searching. I can't. Now again, this is 20 years ago, so there was no Redbubble or TeePublic or.
Yeah, you were asking Jeeves. There was no Rotten Cotton or.
Well, Rotten Cotton was absolutely around, and that was the one that when I started thinking T-shirts, I'm like, well, I want to do something different than what Sean's doing, and I liked what he did, but it was just not. I wanted to do something different for me. You know, I wanted to do more of like a, for a lack of a better term, to sound like a dork, like a graphic designer's take on it, right? Like,
sure.
Not to say that my designs were great, but I just mean like that was my vision, right? So to me, it was like, you know, I couldn't find it anywhere. I'm like, well, maybe this is kind of like an original enough idea that I could just put out there. And then that's when I was on my buddy Justin Mabry's forum, Night Owl Forums, and shout out to Justin. He went on to start Trick or Treat Studios. Great.
Yeah,
friend.
Justin's awesome.
You know, and he was like, dude, you should try to promote these on my board. And like, that would be amazing if you don't mind. I don't want to like ape your shit, you know? And he's like, no, I'll post about it. And then because I thought maybe it would look cool in a shirt. So it was What Would Jason Do? And it was also just the hockey mask as the big hockey mask. And then I did this really basic one of Michael Myers that said Trick or Treat underneath it. Again, I look at these and I cringe. I mean, I seriously, like, the first like year or two, I look at some of my stuff and go, oh God.
Yeah, but you were just cutting your teeth on a lot of this stuff. And if I'm not mistaken, you just bought those back recently again, didn't you?
Yeah. So okay. Quick story about that. So basically, to answer your question, Sam, What Would Jason Do was the first one that I kind of designed, and that was the first one to hit. Here's the problem, though. That was 2003, 20 years ago. 2 years later, in 2005, I had gotten an order from Hot Topic for our Nosferatu shirt, and that, you know, being public domain was fine. And they're like, well, we want your What Would Jason Do shirt. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I can give that to you. It's got the hockey mask on it. You know, I felt a little like I wasn't sure about that. And all of a sudden, I get a love letter from New Line Studios. And basically, it was a cease and desist. It was in November of 2005. Yeah, it was around that time. And they're like, yeah, you better basically take this out. You've used all of our trademarks for the hockey mask that we own, the triangles, the placement of the eye holes, all this stuff. And I said, fine. So what I was kind of ballsy at the time, and I said, screw it. I'm going to take out all your trademarks. So I basically made it look like this. Basically looked like one of those
the dime store ones.
Exactly. I was just dime store mask.
Yeah.
And I said, here, this is what I changed it to, and I'm gonna run with this. I was kind of not calling their bluff, but kind of just pushing back a little bit.
Sure.
And they actually said, hey, as long as you don't call it Friday the 13th, you're good to go, basically. And I was like, shit. So the next day, Hot Topic ordered a ton of them. They did a test order of like 800, I think, and then like 3 weeks later they ordered 3,000, and then 3 weeks after that they ordered 3,000 more, and that was a whole other thing. I mean, because we had to print them and ship them. That was insane. And then, so that was cool, and that kind of was that second wave of the hit, because I smartened up by then, and I started putting our own tag on the shirt with the size tag, because you have to do all the tagging and the all the prices and all that stuff. You have to put it on yourself. They don't do it.
Yeah.
So I put the Fright-Rags tag on it with our web address, so that anybody bought it at Hot Topic, it can come right back to us. And so then Judah Friedlander wore it on 30 Rock in 2009. So that was another wave of orders. But so to your point, Hefty, I said I would never bring the original one back, ever. And I said, screw it. 20-year anniversary, doing a limited run. Let's just do it. And we made it look distressed to make it look kind of like it was, 20 years old.
Sure. Well, if it's a Fright-Rag shirt, it wouldn't be that distressed, because as we know,
that's sort of
things can take a beating. And it's funny you were saying that earlier too about the with stress testing with the washer and the dryer, because I put all mine in the dryer, and and they're fine. I have an Exorcist one. It's like the sloppy Reagan one, I call it, where the clothes like really pop. It still pops after all the years that I've had it, and it's it's amazing.
It's good to hear.
Good stuff. It's good to own.
I'm still just kind of processing the What Would Jason, I've seen bumper stickers and t-shirts places and all that stuff. It's like, that's yours. And then my next question was like, shit, I hope he's been getting paid for that. Cause that's,
well, it's funny. So obviously I launched that, and then within the, I mean, if you typed in what would Jason do now in Google, you'll see 100 different variations on the same exact idea, which is fine. The one thing that threw me off, which was I thought was actually kind of cool, was this was it 10 years ago? I don't remember. Eli Roth had a car. He sponsored a car. I think it was his, maybe it was his museum that he had in Vegas, but there was a car that he sponsored, like a NASCAR. I think it might have been NASCAR. I'm not up on my like slot car or, NASCAR.
That's okay. We'll say it was a NASCAR car.
Let's just say it was a NASCAR car. But someone took a picture of it and it had a big "What would Jason do" on the back of it, and it was our design, like same exact one. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I didn't know about it. No one ever contacted me about it, but I was like, that's cool. What are you gonna do?
That's a good point. Yeah, and that must have been a thrilling and humbling experience. I can.
Yeah, I mean, it was
more mind blowing probably overall, but
yeah, I mean, someone had just sent it to me, and I don't even know, like, the coolest moment, honestly, was Judah, because we met each other at a show once, and we were hanging out a little bit, and he's like, dude, I want to wear these on 30 Rock. I'm like, okay, and I gave him a few shirts, and it just, time goes on, right? You don't think of it, and then I got contacted by NBC one day, and I had to sign all these documents and things, and then I was like, okay, I guess he's gonna wear it, but I'm like, he's gonna walk by and he's gonna have it on, big deal, right? And then one night, my brother called me and he's like, dude, it's on. I'm like, really? And he's just sitting there like, and it's just
prominently displayed. Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit. And then like literally after the show aired, I was getting all these orders. And again, it's not like they ever said Fright-Rags. We didn't get credits, and that's fine. It's just people Googled it and found us, and it was wild. It was pretty cool. Same thing with This Is the End, when Jay Baruchel wore our Zombie vs. Shark shirt. It was the same thing.
Yeah.
I have a funny Judah Friedlander connection with Fright-Rags too. So the reason I started ordering off of you, there's a comment that I'm going to bring up in a second. But when I first started ordering, so I loved 30 Rock. Mm-hmm. One of the things I loved about Judah Friedlander is he always had a different hat on in every episode.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, that's such a funny gag. And so I started out, I ordered a bunch of shirts, and I was like, I want to have one where I can wear one like every day of the week and not have to repeat. And then it just kind of got to where it is today.
a giant wad of black shirts in the corner of the room.
Three dresser drawers full of them, like full. So Rob asked, I apologize if I missed this, but how long have Hefty and Sam been customers?
Ooh, well, I don't remember the year I got it, but I remember the first shirt I got. It was Reanimator, and it was the kind of like harsh colors, pop art, sort of like a really almost primitive print looking kind of thing. It had like the little dots, like it came off of like a comic book printer almost.
Yeah, with that. Oh, was that with Jeffrey Combs?
Jeffrey Combs in the thing.
Yeah, that was 2016, I think. Does that sound about right?
Yep. Maybe 15 or 14, because I think I wore that thing to a couple shows in a band.
That could be. That was around the time that we were doing it. Because we did a poster. If it's the same design I'm thinking of, we did a poster of that as well with Barbara Crampton. She signed it. If it's the same one I'm thinking.
I think so. I wish I could describe it better. I just know there was the neon yellow and the purples and the reds and stuff, and it's just very sharp contrast. And then you find out playing little metal and hardcore shows where all the horror fans are. It's like, is that a Reanimator shirt? It's like, yes, it is. Awesome. I've never seen one of those before. Well, let me tell you something.
There you can get them. For me, I don't know. I mean, you would probably know, Ben, but I know that you guys switched over systems a while back or something like that, so you lost a lot of data. But so based on what I have from like pictures, I was wearing stuff in 2010, and I remember when the Friday the 13th, the final chapter hoodies dropped, was one of the later things I had gotten. So it wasn't right off the rip. So it was somewhere a little bit before that. So probably like 2009. Or 2010, I started buying stuff off.
That sounds about right, because I mean, you were talking about Chopping Mall, and that goes back to easily 2010, 2011. So it was definitely
and I had been getting from you guys for a while before that, which is actually, I think we might have mentioned that. That's how Sam and I met, like 7-8 years ago, something like that. He worked with a buddy of mine that I worked with, and I walked in, and he was wearing an Escape from New York shirt or an Escape from LA shirt. I was wearing a Fright-Rags shirt. And I looked down. You guys have a very recognizable visual style with shirts. It's like that's a Fright Rag shirt, especially for a guy that has a lot of them. So I was looking, I was like, dude, is that a Fright Rag shirt? He's like, yeah, man. And then that was it.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, man, it's amazing. You guys have had a hell of a history.
Yeah, there's been a lot of designs, a lot of stuff.
What a great segue, Ben. What are some of the trials and tribulations? Because we know it can't all be rainbows and unicorn farts.
No, it's definitely not. I mean, look, there's a lot. I mean, obviously in the early
that you can talk about, obviously.
Yeah, of course. It's funny. The early years, it was just Wild West, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing in any regard, so I was learning a lot. But it was also trying to understand. Well, it's just understanding anything about the business. But then as we got, as I started adding some people and stuff, some of the trials and tribulations started with licensing when we actually started getting legit in going into the licensing world. Because, when I started, I knew like these were bootleg. I knew, it wasn't like I was ignorant of the fact that I had a Jason hockey mask on my shirt and that wouldn't get some attention potentially and get me in trouble. And I didn't know what that would look like. But I didn't know any other way. And I literally have emails to people like, I have an email that I sent to like Toby Hooper in like 2004 where I was like, can I put Leatherface on a t-shirt? Just stuff that I'm like, obviously it doesn't work that way.
It makes sense to you at first. You're like, well, he's the guy that created this.
Dude, I went so far as to, we had done I was doing these limited editions back then of like really small runs, like 30 pieces. And I did this one for Halloween in 2004, I think it was. And it was, I just took the pumpkin and kind of made it like 4 colors and separated it or whatever. Did 31 shirts, sold them. I went so far as to send one of those to Malik Akkad with a letter, basically trying to get licensing. And he wrote me back and he's like, well, first of all, stop selling that. You're not supposed to be doing that shit.
Oh, no. Uh-oh.
Yeah. I mean, look, you live and you learn, right?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, we have a great relationship with him now. I mean, it's not a problem, but that was, and I wasn't even ready for that back then. But I started really small with licensing, and every license I would get, there would be something that I would screw up completely or not understand that I would then take to the next license, and then they would hand me a contract, and I'm like, what is this thing? I don't even know what that clause is, so I got to research it, find out what it is, and then make sure we're good. I mean, it was literally just like trial after trial after trial, and so I think it's nowadays, though, it is like trying to, there's a lot of people out there doing similar stuff. There's a lot of competition, and that's great. And look, I think it's cool that there's so many things available out there, but sometimes, it's hard because you want to kind of have your own space and place. And I think everybody can, but then it's like, oh, you almost feel like you're in a crowded room and you're trying to get to the other side. Whereas, before it was a little bit easier to cross. Now it's like, oh crap, and I don't know. It's becomes harder that way, but at the same time, it's, it makes you try to be more creative about things and try to think of things differently. So, and we are very fortunate, we've been around 20 years and we do have our audience and we have people that, follow us. So we just try to keep putting out great shit, but the other end of it is trying to get rights to certain things. I mean, there are some things that are just really hard, or they just don't want to work with you or whatever it is. And it's just like, oh, come on. Or if it's a new movie, that's honestly in the last couple of years, that's been the biggest source of stress, because when a new movie comes out, and this is the way I think of things, most people want to wear the shirt to the movie when they see it. Like, it's build up. They want to be representing when they walk into the theater. It's great for Instagram. It's great for everything, right?
Right.
It's great just for fans. You're walking into the theater and you've got the shirt of the movie you're going to see. Like, cool. And that means we need to have stuff out way in advance, and we can't predict, the demand for it. So you have to do things like pre-orders, like we did for the newer Halloween movies, just to understand what we're dealing with, because we could either way overproduce and screw ourselves, or way underproduce and screw ourselves and the customers. So now no one's happy. So anyway, that means you need stuff so far in advance. And so now you're pushing the studio to be like, look, we need this stuff so we can create the design, so then we can get it approved, so that we can get it out, so that we can get it, like this is a process. And sometimes studios don't really understand that because they're not thinking that way. They're just thinking and this is the release date. And it's a little bit of a fight sometimes. And sometimes it's very, very stressful to where things come down so much to the wire that you had you don't think it's going to happen. And again, it's for me, I'm putting it on me and ourselves to do it because in my head, that's how it has to work. Otherwise, it will not be successful. Because if you wait even a week or two later and people can't get the shirt, they're pissed. And then, honestly, the movie comes out and it shits the bed. Guess what? No one's going to buy anything.
No one's going to buy the shirts. Yeah, exactly.
So it is really a race. And it's not easy sometimes, man. I'll tell you, it was hard the last few times we've done this where I'm like, oh my God, like, please, I just want to get this stuff out. I just want to do it. I want to make people happy and give them a chance to order shit,
Yeah.
And, so it can be a little stressful, but this is part of the game.
I mean, every job is stressful.
Exactly. And honestly, like, look, we're not brain surgeons, right? Like, I realize it's just t-shirts. We take it very seriously. Don't get me wrong. It's something that we want to do. And I take it very seriously. But at the same time, I realize, like, I have to step back sometimes and be like, all right, it's going to be all right. We're going to get it out there. It'll be fine. It's just, sometimes it's easy to get caught up in it.
No, I can absolutely understand that. What's up, Chantel? Chantel is joining us from South Africa. That's pretty cool.
Oh,
yeah, she's really awesome. Yeah, man, you guys, there's been, I know there's been a lot of hiccups on the way, but I think overall you guys have dominated, and you kind of finished something for me we were saying before with, kind of being in a crowded room with so much competition and everything. I think what I was going to say is I think just your solid fan base and the fact that you guys have had so much media exposure between bands and movies and shows and stuff like that. Like, people know your stuff. I know definitely, and I can definitely speak for my brothers, whenever we go out with the Fright-Rags shirts on, like, you get compliments on them.
That's cool.
And the sweatshirts and just it's everything. So, you guys definitely, in my heart, are the best. Like, I don't like buying from anybody else. And the thing I think is really cool about you is when I see Cavity Colors or whatever on Facebook, like, you're one of the Ben Scrivens likes this, and I'm like, what an awesome dude. I mean, you just share the love to everybody. I think that's really important to do.
If it's something good, I mean, I always look at it this way. If it's something good, I will say it's great. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a fan too, so, like, I like collecting stuff. I like, seeing what's out there. And look, if it's something that's really cool, it's really cool regardless. And my thought is I want to make the coolest stuff, because I mean, look, if it's just like, if you're playing a game, you want to be the best, right? I mean, you might appreciate your opponent and be friends with them or whatever the case is, but you still want to win, right? I mean, and I say that in quotes. I mean, when I'm
I know. Yeah,
if you don't want to be the best, then why are you trying to do it, right? Like, and so that for me, I have that drive to be like, it could always be better. I always look at what we put out and go, yeah, that was fine, but it can be better. Like, we'll put out some things. I'll be like, that's just, people be like, why did you do this? Why did you do this? You know what? That was the first time we did this, or this is like, we're just putting these out now so we can spend time to work on this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, we just re-signed up with the Misfits, and we decided to reprint some of this stuff that we'd done in the past because we needed to spend the time to work on some new stuff. And we also knew that some people had missed these things and they wanted them. So it's like, well, why don't we offer that now? It's done. We can at least get those out now because you only have the deal for a couple of years. Have these deals forever. Let's start, putting those out. And then we're working on new stuff. Sometimes it's funny. People comment as if that one thing you did is the only thing you'll ever do. And you're like, no, like,
because then we're not going to pigeonhole ourselves, like, just as
just chill. We're working on stuff. It's not like we just went, oh, throw this out there and we're just sitting back doing whatever. It's like, no, like, constantly, like, we're, and we've got over 70 titles we're trying to juggle. It's not. It takes time.
Yeah.
And it's not easy.
Oh, absolutely. Again, but it's commendable work, you guys, and you have a wonderful team. We've been down this road 1,000 times, Joey and everybody. or Tansky. I have a buddy named Joe Tansky, but so Tansky and Kimmy and everybody, and they're just such nice people. Everybody, they're hard workers, and I think you have a wonderful family. I'm sure you've got great support groups that believe in you. Which is awesome, and a shitload of fans, which also doesn't hurt either.
Yeah, no, it feels great. I mean, like I said, that I couldn't do any of this without people that work with me and my team. Like you said, Kimmy, Tansky, Joe, Jess, Heather, Liz, Eric. I mean, they're all just amazing people. They all want to work very hard. They all have their heart in this. This isn't just a job for them. And I try my best to make sure they understand that everyone has a pivotal role there. There's no just, I'm just filling orders or I'm just doing this. Like, I want to make sure, like, especially like Eric or even Jess, they work in the warehouse, when they go to a show or something and they can meet people face to face, or, they see a comment on something on, online or whatever. It's like, I just filled your order, like there's a connection. There is a connection. That's one of the reasons why I love being direct to consumer. I mean, we do some wholesale here and there, but I love the majority of our business being direct to customers because it's each individual person. You see that support, you see it, and I don't look at every order obviously or anything like that.
No, yeah, but that's tough to do.
But it's fun. Like during Black Friday, we've done this thing for the last several years where we all of us come into the office at least 1 or 2 days and fill orders. And I love that time when I can sit there for a day and do nothing but fill orders. And I love seeing who's ordering, and I'll write little notes on their packing slips or, throw something else in there, something just for fun. And it's fun to do that because you just kind of feel like, I mean, I look at all the comments, like literally every comment. I look at all the stuff, but I'm not in customer service every day. I'm not doing, I'm not there all the time. So like if I can sit there for a day or two and just look at people's names and orders, and it gets you a little more connected in a way that I don't usually do it on a daily basis,
Sure, because it's more centered and focused, and you're actually doing it, and you don't have a ton going out. You have, a little bit. I think that's awesome, and I think that's really cool that you guys do that. Halloween's got to be a great time around the office. I've seen pictures, and that's just a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, we try to have fun. It's a little bit different post-COVID because now a bunch of us still kind of, like, I work from home a lot. I'm in the office a couple times a week or whatever, but it's just been different. Obviously, Heather and Eric and Jess, they work at the office because they have to. I mean, it's the warehouse. They have to be there. But like Kimmy, she has her time. She comes in and sometimes works from home. I'm back and forth. Tansky's back and forth. Joe is back. Joe lives about 45 minutes away, so he's always worked from home really, but he comes in the office once a week. And same thing with, Liz comes in once in a while. So what we do get together as a group here and there for lunch or just to meet, and obviously we're constantly in communication over Slack.
Oh, sure.
That's the other thing. Like, we're never not in communication. It's just, we're not always all together all the time. Not as much as we used to be, which is fine. And it works. It works for everybody. And I try to run it to where people can be flexible. I'm not trying to have people punch in at a certain time and punch out at a certain time. Like, be flexible with your time. Just get the work done. That's all I care about. If it's getting done, then I'm not going to bother you about where you are or what you're doing, And
that's a fair way to do it. That's a fair way to do it too. And I think that there's a lot of places that could probably take a note from your or a page from your book on that and just be like, hey, as long as it gets done,
If you have people that work for you that are adults and that care and that want to do the work, then it's not about.
Yeah, that's okay. That's fair.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
It's not about managing people at that point. It's just about managing energy at that point. It's not like if I had to go into the warehouse and be like, oh, come on, like, do your work. Come on, let's go. Like, do your work. Like, get it done. That'd be a different situation. Then you have to then put things in place to have, but no one at work abuses the freedom. So you give them freedom. It's a two-way street. It's
absolutely.
They have to live up to that. I have to live up to that. So it's definitely a back and forth. And up till now, and again, we have people that have been there, a long time. I mean, Eric is technically our newest employee as of, a couple of years ago because we needed a new person in the warehouse, but we've known Eric for years. I mean, he came with us to California 5 years ago. I had him come with us just to shoot the whole thing, because he's a filmmaker as well. I mean, he's been part of our group for a long time without being officially part of our group. So
right.
Him was just like, oh, do you want a job now? Like a legitimate job now? It wasn't like, putting out a classified ad or putting something out online. It was, oh, you were already kind of here, so just start working with us. And that's how it's been for almost everybody there. I mean, it's really been the way that the universe is sort of aligned with the people there. So, you know, that's pretty special too.
You're very lucky. You're very lucky.
100%.
Sam, actually, speaking of new things, you guys branching out to do. Sam, do you remember that thing you were talking to me about?
Oh, yeah. It's funny because that dovetails right in with something that was lightly mentioned just then. I'm sure you guys obviously are pushing the boundaries of what you do and don't do all the time. New products pop up here and there. Are there other ventures that you're perhaps looking to ooze into? Because I know, like, especially when you're watching stuff on like Shudder, you see like, oh, this movie was like produced by Fangoria or something. Yeah. Is Fright-Rags looking at sneaking?
So, yeah, I mean, okay, so we've done short films in the past. They're on our YouTube channel, and we just do them for fun, and they've been fun to do. I mean, this is sort of pre-COVID where we're doing stuff with, I mean, we still do stuff with a little theater called Saturday Night Rewind where we show films. Now it's every other month or so, but still in October it's every week. And Roy, who works at the Little, and Eric used to work at the Little. That's how we knew him. He was full time there. And me and Tansky would get together and write and kind of film these shorts. And we did 3 of them pre-COVID, and then COVID hit, and then after that we just haven't done it since. Anyway, I would love to eventually figure out a way to do some sort of film type of thing, and I don't know what that looks like, and I don't know how I would get there, but I can tell you on my mind, I love working in the licensed world. I love working with the properties that we are lucky enough to be, to handle. But I do also crave something that is wholly ours. For example, this Tuesday we're releasing our first ever vinyl record that we're doing. And
nice.
That's cool.
I got it right here. Hold on. I mean,
oh yes.
And that's our building. That's literally our building, and our building was the old morgue.
The morgue, yeah, I remember that. Oh, that's crazy. Yeah. That goes up when, you said?
Tuesday, and it comes with a t-shirt. It's limited edition. It's limited edition purple vinyl on this one that will come with a shirt. But the thing is, this is original music. So we had my friend Mike. So again, I don't mean to digress, but I just want to give you the background.
Please digress away, buddy.
I have a friend locally here, Mike, who he handles all of our paid advertisements on social media and stuff, and we give him content. But a lot of those ads are videos, and those videos not require, but it's nice to have music on them. And you can't use copyrighted music unless obviously you have permission, all these things. So he is a musician as well. He's a great guitarist, and we always talk guitars and stuff. And he came up with, he comes up with these like soundtrack music to put, so it's all original, and we're just throwing it on our videos. In addition, I have a friend, Rocky Gray, who used to drum for Evanescence, and he was part of We Are the Fallen and stuff. He does soundtrack music, and he's like, dude, you can use any of these tracks that you want. I'm like, that's amazing. And he does amazing stuff. So we put some of that music on there. And again, we're allowed to use it when we say used by permission, Mike Dieri and Rocky Gray, stuff like that. But we get so many comments from people like, where's this music from? It's amazing. Like, what soundtrack is this? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it'd be fun to do it'd be cool to do like a record of something, right? Like, what the hell? We should just try it. And my first idea was to do something that was reminiscent of, Haunted Mansion, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And it just kind of snowballed from there. And I'm like, Mike, would you want to write a piece for this? And he did. And I was asked Rocky, I'm like, would you want to write a piece for this? And he's like, absolutely. And they're both awesome. So I was like, how could we do more of this? So I have ideas of how to expand it every year. Again, it's not taking away from anything else we're doing in the license world. It's just sort of, it's a way to scratch a creative itch that allows us, because again, with licensing, you are limited by certain things. You have constraints. And again, sometimes that's awesome. And even when the wheels are off and you can do whatever you want, again, other people are still doing it. I mean, how many people have done Halloween shirts and all these types of shirts? And that's great. I'm not saying it's bad, but man, I just kind of want to play in a sandbox that's just ours, that we can just mess around with and work with really cool, creative people and do stuff.
That's amazing.
that's sort of this, like, I don't know if I want to say transition, but it's at least this new kind of thing. And the other thing is, we've sort of promoted this more lately, but if you look in the middle of our logo, we have this like ghoul, and well, we call him the Phantom, but it's like this little guy in shreds. I mean, Gary Pullen designed that as part of our logo, so we've been pulling that out and using it, and this is sort of a personification of that. I mean, it's like a Grim Reaper, but you know, we're kind of using him, not to say he'll always look like that, but it's like our kind of
mascot almost.
Your own crypt keeper or the creep or something.
Exactly. So we're gonna play with that a little bit. We just put it on the shirt for the 20th anniversary just for fun, and it's something to sort of, I don't know, just have a little bit of fun. It's kind of similar to when I started Fright-Rags, where I was just letting off some creative steam anyway. This is literally letting off creative steam and in a way that we can do without anybody going, well, I don't want that, and this is not approved, and rejecting it. No, man, we get to say if it's approved or not, because it's our thing.
Yeah, which is awesome. And so I'm assuming those are going to ship before. I'm sorry, I'm very excited for this. I'm assuming these will ship before Halloween, in time for Halloween, right?
Yeah, for sure. So we were actually just talking about the other day. So we're taking pre-orders because we want to make sure people can get the size shirt they want. And then we're hoping right now, we're hoping to ship like the week of or before Halloween. We're going to try to bump that up. I got to talk to the team and make sure we can get it done just because there's a lot going on. The records are coming in soon anyway. So we'll have those all done. I mean, this is just one of our samples, but yeah, it's, you know, we're trying to get it out as soon as possible, but we've got the show coming up in California in a couple weeks, and then it's busy October, but we do want to get it out, you know, in time for people to kind of play it on Halloween. So I got to, you know, again, talk to the team about that and just hopefully we can get it done. How
psyched are you for Cali again?
I am psyched, but just like, especially a show like this, it's just, you know, you just want to get there and set up type of thing. Like, yes, it's exciting, but there's a lot of logistical stuff. The entire team is coming. My parents are actually coming. They're the ones driving my stuff out across country with my trailer. They wanted to do that, which I thought was funny. So my brother's going with them, and they're starting to drive out on Saturday, which is crazy. Because we were just going to ship everything. They're like, no, we want to drive it. And then my uncle's coming down from Oregon, and my cousin's coming down. I'm like, wow, like this is crazy. It's going to be old, you know, home week down there. But and tons of friends and people. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's just, it's going to be a lot.
Yeah.
But, it's going to be fun though. I mean, look, last time it was a great time. We get to see so many people we don't normally see because we're never on the West Coast. So it's nice to kind of get out there and see people and customers that you just normally don't see.
That's fantastic. Now you had mentioned something, and we got to wrap this up soon because I know you have a pretty tight schedule today. Sam, did you have anything else Fright-Rags related you want to ask before I go into this next subject real quick?
I mean, I got kind of distracted by there's vinyls of Fright-Rags Presents Horror Movie Metal Massacre, basically. So, geez. I feel like I did have one, and it's, speaking of anniversaries, I don't think it's a dead on or anything. I guess we're not looking forward to any prints of Blood Fart Lake t-shirts.
Yeah, that's
No, people have asked. I don't know. Maybe we can do a direct garment print so we don't have to print a bunch in advance. But, you know, it's funny. I would say 2 to 3 times a year, maybe a little bit more, somebody just comments either on Instagram or
something. That's me.
Yeah. And they're just like, did you know about this? Or, you know, I can't. And like, yeah, of course I knew about it. It's so, I love that it's still got like, people are still discovering it now. I actually think, I mean, like, obviously I had nothing to do with it. It was all Chris, you know?
Yeah, it was all Chris. But I mean, it was, you know, in the first one based on you, and you were in the second one. So yes. There is,
I know.
His name is Ben.
It's just funny to me that, and again, I've always said this to Chris too, where I'm like, I just love that people are discovering it and seeing it for the first time, like 10, 13 years later. Like, I think it's just great. It's
out of all these, it is my most loaned out DVD,
really?
As I've loaned that out to so many people, and it's always with the stipulation. It's like, dude, I don't loan out stuff out that often. Make sure you get this back to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, if please, for the love of God, Ben, if you end up doing those, I can get rid of. I know 6 people right offhand that would buy one. I know a whopping 6 people.
But well, I was going to say, then we'll probably sell about 10. So we could just do direct to garment. Great.
But what I did want to touch on, because you mentioned you play guitar earlier, is your band.
Yeah.
So why don't you talk a little bit about the band?
So it's really my brother's band right now. So growing up, I have two brothers and a sister. They're all older. I'm the youngest of four. So my oldest brother, Mike, started playing bass when he was younger. And we've always been kind of a musical family. Like my parents were always in choir. I was always in choir as a kid, my sister. But I don't know how, but my brother, Mike, started playing bass and my other brother, Matt, started playing drums when they were young. And then when I was like 7 or 8, they gave me a guitar and I started lessons for maybe about 6 months, and I gave it up because I didn't want to play Camptown Races. I wanted to play that, you know what I mean? I wanted to play like Cinderella. Like that's what I wanted to play. So I gave it up. And then about 8 years later, when I was 16, I was really, I still am, it's my favorite band. I was into the Ramones, and I started wanting to play guitar again. And my brother had a guitar and an amp. So he gave it to me. And I started just literally sitting in my room for hours learning Ramones songs, just 3 chords of every song. But I would just, every time a song would come on, I'd learn it as it was going. And then next song. And anyway, I just got into it. So my brothers and I, at that time, I was a senior in high school, we formed a band and had another guitar player in there too. And we played for, I don't know, I'd say off and on for about 10 years. We were always practicing. We were playing out gigs here and there, and then I started getting busier with obviously the business and then, getting married and starting a family. And it's just, you start, I kind of just didn't play guitar as much. I just kind of was just there. And so we kind of all, we all live in the same town. We all just kind of just disbanded, if you will. And we would practice once in a while. And then anyway, so years would go by. And then I started picking up the guitar a lot more, probably a little more like 10 years ago. I started really like making it more a part of my regular playing just on my own. So my brothers were they had little bands here and there. My brother Mike was always in the bands, but he started getting more. And by the way, that band was like a hard rock type of thing.
Okay.
Covers, and we did originals and stuff. So my brother, I've always been into like blues music, older blues, I was a blues kid, right? In addition to like Ramones and stuff. But as I just love blues, especially as I started playing guitar. He started forming his own blues thing where he would do it on his own. He was playing blues on his own, just guitar, and he would go do these solo gigs. And then once in a while, my brother would play with him, or he'd have people sit in with him. And then over the years, he started having like his own solo thing. And then he had a band he called Delta Bound, which was him and his drummer, Paul. And then he had a harp player, Tim. And then Jay was on bass. And then they would have, people kind of come in there. And I remember going to see him a few years ago. And I was like, because I wouldn't get out to all of his gigs or whatever, busy life, whatever. And then I wanted to obviously support him. So I went out to see him. And this is the first time I had seen him with a band situation. And I was like, oh, I really want to play out again, And so after the gig, and it's all music that I know, it's like all the stuff that I play. So I told him, I said, look, I'm not trying to insert myself anywhere. I'm just letting you know if there were ever a situation where
you need a guy
I could play, I would be more than happy. I would love it. And, actually, I think it was a few months after that I played my first gig with him at an outdoor venue, and it was so much fun. And since then, like there's different venues that he plays at, and each venue calls for, there's various size room to play. So sometimes you can't have like 4 people. It can only like 2 or sometimes 3. So really, since then, I'm just sort of like, dude, whenever it's open and available for me to play, and so he'll throw out dates to all of us. And, sometimes I can't make it because I'm whatever, but if it's a date that he wants me a part of and I can make it, I'm there. So like last week we had a gig last Saturday, like we talked about before, at this place we've been playing at down in the canal, which is really cool. And it's just fun because to me, it's not my band. So I don't like, not that it was my band before, but like I'm just sort of sitting in. And also like we never rehearse like ever. And even though it's mostly the same songs, I'm just like, just tell me what key we're in and I'll figure it out. And, so I'm just like, it's almost like a cool challenge. Because then because I've been playing with him enough now, we've been recording our gigs and I've been listening to it and going, oh, I should do this here. Oh, I could add this here. So I'm kind of now constructing the ways that I can fit in and still not step on, the guy who's playing harmonica or anybody else. So we can kind of play off each other. And that's really cool. Like it's also fun just to kind of,
it's a nice release and be
it totally is like, It's funny, you know, this is kind of funny because this just happened because it was last week, but I'm not thinking of Fright-Rags when I'm up there, right? Like this isn't a work thing. This is me doing what I do. I just like playing guitar. Like that's the other side of me that I just love, you know, and obviously with the spooky sound stuff and other things, I'm kind of imbuing some of my love of music into what we're doing and would like to continue that, but they're still to me very separate. And it was really jarring to me last week because I'm playing and it was in between sets. We did 2 sets and I was switching out guitars or something. And it's a small, I mean, it was like a little brewery, small place, very small place.
Sure.
And most of the people there weren't listening to us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're doing their own thing.
It wasn't like we had a crowd of people. They're just sitting there drinking their beer and we're just playing to ourselves, right? And this girl comes up to me and she goes, "Do you own Fright-Rags?" And I go, "What?" Like, I was sort of like, she's like, "You're Ben, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "Oh my God, I love your stuff. Me and my brother buy your stuff all the time." And I was like, "Oh, wow. And you're listening to me play guitar?" Like, it was this weird, like, you know, like relationship George and like friend George.
Crazy.
You know, it was like,
are you wearing your stuff on stage?
That's a good question.
No, I wasn't actually. My brother usually does, and I didn't. I usually wear either just a black shirt or without some other graphic. Actually, no, I'm sorry. That night I was wearing just an EC Comics logo shirt. So that was, so I don't know if that's what she recognized, or I mean, she seemed to recognize my face, I guess. I don't know. I mean, but it was a moment where I was just like, oh wow, that's so weird. Like I was kind of just doing this other thing, you know. It was great. I mean, I appreciate it. Obviously, it was just kind of funny. But
do you wear one of those cool like Phantasm Jody little blues hats too when you rock out?
My brother was like, I don't know. Maybe I should, but no, I just kind of wear like jeans and a black shirt usually, just, you know, whatever. But it's just fun. Like it's fun when you play out and you play with other people and then you play in front of people and like, you know, it's a cool release, like you said. And I don't know. I just hope we can do it more. And I also love it that I'm not trying to make it more than what it is. I'm not trying to like, oh, now we got to tour or make money or put out, you know, no, man. If I play out 3 times a year or 4 times a year, whatever it is, cool.
That's for you. That's for you. That's not
totally for me. I don't even care. I don't even need to make any money at it, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. I'll do it. I just want to do it, you know, and I want to make sure it's only just for fun and it's not like this stressful, like, oh, but we got to put out more of this. You know, I have enough of that in my life.
I was going to say, yeah, I need to create another situation where you're just like, I had more work. Oh, boy.
Exactly. It's just an extension of what I do here. I sit here and basically, you know, wank all night. I put my headphones on and I'm, you know, pretending to be a rock star playing poorly to songs that I love. You know what I mean? But then I could just, it's cool to be able to play in front of people, you know?
To our UK viewers, that didn't mean what you think it means.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good point. What's the band called?
Means just playing. Oh, what's the band called? Well, the band. So my brother calls himself Cotton Toe. So he's Mike Cotton Toe Scrivens, and the whole thing behind that, it's sort of a play on, you know, the whole like, you know, Blind Lemon Jefferson.
The blues man thing.
He always
hated Johnson.
Exactly. His whole thing, I forgot what it was exactly, that he hates like the feel of like cotton between his toes. It's been a running joke for years.
So he's Mike Cotton Toe.
So he's Mike Cotton Toe Scrivens, and then when we're together, it's called, you know, Delta Bound is really the name. So it's like Cotton Toe and Delta Bound. So Delta Bound is encompassing the kind of revolving door of musicians or people that play with him.
But at the crux, it's good old Mike Cotton Toe.
The crux, it's Mike Cotton Toe.
I love it.
It's
very
funny
much
to me.
blues.
What's that?
So very much blues.
Yeah.
I was going to draw a comparison between, you know, Dimebag punching in with Anthrax or Kane Roberts getting back with Alice Cooper or something. It's a little different.
Little different. Yeah, little different. But it's fun. And like I said, you're welcome, Jeff. We like to, you know, we recorded a couple times just live, which is cool because then I can take it in my computer and kind of change the levels a little bit. And like we have some pretty good recordings of our music. We want to maybe do like an actual recording, like a studio type recording. I only say that because we'll probably be doing it in our basement. You know, it's not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it's fun. You know, it's cool to listen to. Like I said, and it allows me to kind of practice on my own because we never get together to practice. So I can kind of like, oh yeah, that song there's that change there. So let me do this here or whatever, but it's cool because you're playing off of people. I'm not just sitting here by myself,
Yeah, exactly. And you're in front of people, which is always fun. I mean, unless you're shy, in which case it's a little awkward.
I don't mind it. Like it's funny when we used to play out. I mean, the other thing about, when I was saying like, well, it's not my band, which is good. When it was me and my brothers and it was our band, I did a lot of singing too, which I don't mind singing in front of people. It's not a big deal. I don't usually get like nervous, I guess, but.
Oh, cool. Then let's hear something.
No, that's okay. I don't mind it, but there is a extra level of nerve there.
Oh, absolutely.
The singing and playing thing is a nightmare sometimes.
And so if I know I don't have to sing and I'm literally just there to play and it doesn't matter if people are watching me or not, then it's sort of like I don't even care. Like I'm just, up there having a ball and, obviously I want to do well, I don't want to screw up or anything. I'm thinking about what I'm doing, but there's a little less pressure to me than sometimes when you have to like sing and you hear yourself back and you're like, oh
God, yeah.
Or you're completely when I was younger and I would be like completely wasted and not even remember that I was doing, and then you're like, those were times, but not anymore.
No, you're having way more fun now, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
But well, I guess Ben, I wanted to thank you so much for coming on and doing this again. For and again, customers, look, like this is customer service right here. Like, this is Ben going above and beyond.
Well, it's fun hanging out with you guys. It's always fun. So
I'm honored, and it is likewise, brother. We always appreciate you having you on, and Sam. Sam bugs me all the time. We gotta bug Ben. We gotta
harass Ben, man.
Yeah, that's what it is. We gotta harass Ben. We gotta harass Ben.
It's not often I get to talk to the guy. It's like I buy this stuff all the time, and it's like
But we do appreciate you so much, man. Like thank you for everything. Yeah. Everybody, everybody that's in here is our Fright-Rags people. So,
cool.
Keep kicking ass, man. And for everybody else, go out there and do good things because nobody else is going to. If everybody did one good thing for somebody else each day, this world wouldn't be such a bad place. Maybe it would, but there'd be a lot more good going around. Thanks again to Ben. Shout out. Go buy stuff off of Fright-Rags. Shout out to Sam. Love you guys, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
You're very welcome.